Cats have a lion's heart, which is not easily upset by anything, and has a lot of courage and bravery. But our furry friends can also suffer from fears, which they try to show us through certain behaviors. Which 10 fears slumber in every cat and how you can recognize them, you will learn in the following video. Number 1. Not finding a sexual partner. As with every living creature, reproduction is one of the top priorities for cats. After all, they want to spread their genes as far as possible. And so, both male and female cats are willing to mate at certain times of the year. Especially the males are sometimes a bit rougher. It is not uncommon for aggression and territorial fights to occur, as well as scuffles over a female cat. Behind this behavior is the fear of not being able to transmit their own genetic material. However, this fear is strongly hormone-driven and usually disappears with castration. Number 2. Hunger. Not only reproduction is an important issue for our cats, food also plays an important role. After all, food is essential for survival, as is water. Of course, if your cat is fed by you every day, it won't suffer from this fear, or at least not as much. But especially stray cats or those still looking for a loving home can suffer from this fear of hunger. After all, they often don't know where the next meal will come from. But even cats with a good home get anxious very quickly if they are short of a food ration. If you forget to serve your kitten food, its primal instincts will kick in quickly and it will demand it with all its might. Number 3. Social isolation. Cats are not loners. They feel comfortable and also safe in the company of other cats. Accordingly, another fear can be the fear of social isolation, that is, of a life without belonging. In some cats, this feeling is more pronounced. The reason for this is not entirely clear. Maybe the kitten was the weakest member of the litter and had to fight for attention from the start, or maybe the cat plagued by this fear was abandoned and thus became socially isolated. You can recognize this possible fear, among other things, in an increased need for love. The cat is clearly more affectionate than other cats and sometimes follows you at every turn. It is also not uncommon for them to form especially close bonds with other cats, because in a group they not only feel well cared for, but also understood. Number 4. Vet phobia. In a way, this is the norm. Probably all cats that have the pleasure of regularly visiting the vet suffer from this fear. When it comes to visiting the vet, several anxiety-inducing factors come together and cause your cat to flee as soon as you go near the transport box. For one thing, cats don't like to be locked up. So already the way to the vet is not very dear. Second, you almost always radiate nervousness when you take your kitty to the vet, and your cat senses this very well. And last but not least, something often happens there that it doesn't like. From being touched by a stranger in the first place, to maybe something really nasty like an injection. There is almost no cat that likes going to the vet. Number 5. Kids. Not every cat is a friend of children. In fact, many cats are very critical and wary of human offspring. Especially if there is no offspring within its own four walls. You can recognize this by the fact that the cat runs away and seeks shelter as soon as a child is near. The reason for this behavior: children are usually noisy and not infrequently a bit rough. Of course, this also applies to feline offspring, with the difference that a kitten cannot accidentally hurt an adult cat. Small children are therefore simply an incalculable risk from the cat's perspective. Number 6. Strange people. This doesn't necessarily have to be a real fear. It can also simply be a very good feline intuition behind the behavior that many cats show great skepticism towards strangers. Often our velvet paws hide because they do not know a person and do not want to get to know them. This is quite natural, because everything that is unknown is initially classified as a hazard. But, have you ever experienced that your cat has already expressed this aversion, even though the person has only approached the apartment door, that is, it has only heard them but not yet seen them? If your cat hisses at the door, you can assume that it won't make friends with the person on the other side, and you probably shouldn't either. Number 7, falling. Cats like to climb a lot, if they have the possibility. Outdoor cats have a variety of trees, fences, and hedges to do so, while indoor cats are often content with scratching posts that reach up to the ceiling. So how can cats be afraid of falling? Well, cats know very well what heights are dangerous for them. Thus, it's not uncommon for cats to get stuck in a tree after climbing because they couldn't get down without jumping. Even if cats almost always land on their feet, falling from great heights hurts and can lead to injury, so cats are rightfully afraid of falling from great heights. Number 8, cucumbers. You might know those supposedly funny videos where people put a cucumber behind their cat's tails, with the result that the poor animal is almost scared to death, jumps in the air, and is beside itself with panic. This fun is an absolute horror for the cat, but it has not yet been fully explained why. One of the hypotheses is that a cucumber resembles the shape of a snake. And although very few cats have had or have contact with a snake, a primal instinct seems to warn them of the danger that can come from these reptiles. Also, the cucumber is something unknown, and before it possibly attacks, it's safer to jump into the air and thus get out of the danger zone. Number 9, appliances. This is another pretty classic fear of cats that many of you are probably familiar with. It is a fear related to noises and movements. Probably your cat is not a big fan of vacuum cleaners either. Because this not only looks strange, it is also usually quite large and very noisy. In addition, if the cat once accidentally held the paw or tail in front of the vacuum cleaner hose, it may have sucked this part of the body up. If this is not the reason for the fear of the vacuum cleaner, the noise and hectic suction movements are enough for the cat to flee. By the way, this also applies to most other household appliances, such as blenders. Number 10, storms. Cats join the ranks of creatures that disappear under the nearest blanket when this natural event occurs, where at least there is no lightning to be seen. Bright light and loud thunder are enough to awaken primal fears in almost any cat and put our kitties in fear and terror. In the wild, cats instinctively know that they must now seek shelter and persevere. So we must never forget, primal fears serve a purpose and are not simply unpleasant. Would you like to know if the fact that cats sometimes meow so agonizingly has something to do with primal fears? Click on the image on the left to find out what's really behind it in our video.